My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game, and welcome to the Pre-Post Game podcast. Today is Tuesday, October 16th, approximately 2 p.m., and I'm doing this live to discuss Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, formerly of the Ohio State University, defensive end, projected top 5 pick in the NFL Draft 2019, in a class known as to be one of the best NFL draft classes in NFL history pertaining to defensive linemen. To catch everybody up who don't know who Nick Bosa is, and obviously if you're following this page, it's because you're either a sports fan, advocate, or a parent, or someone in the sports business that don't necessarily like what I say, but have to respect the fact because at the end of the day, the golden rule is simple as this. Those that have the goal make the rules, and the goal is the players. How you doing, Ms. Watts? Hope all is well. Speaking on the situation with Ohio State that Nick Bosa has declared for the NFL draft, but not only has he declared for the NFL draft mid-season, he has decided to leave school to prepare for his business of getting prepared for the upcoming NFL draft. As people know, I always say sports is not a game, sports is all business. Not only is it not a game, but it's a short-lived career. And if you look at what it actually says on our actual tag on the side, I'll read it to you. Hashtag free education doesn't pay equal value of the money and notoriety Nick Bosa has generated for the Ohio State University and the football program if he was to get injured again. Hashtag Urban Meyer, hashtag Ohio State, and the hashtag NCAA would not write a check to cover his losses. Trust the facts, not the process. It's the absolute truth. So really quick, before I go any further, I want to play a clip of Mel Kiper, who is an NFL draft analyst pertaining to Nick Bosa's injury, and also help you understand why that you got to do what's best for you in these certain situations. Again, sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Let me stop that right quick. Because the reality is that Nick Bosa has previous injuries, and the fact of the matter is when it comes to the NFL, they're not going to look at you and say, oh, you played great at your college, or you played great. The NFL is about projecting what happens for them going forward. NCAA and college universities are notorious for evaluating athletes and giving them information through their doctors and their programs, treatment, in essence, to encourage the athlete to come back for their fourth and fifth years. If you understand the NFL in particular, usually the underclassmen is what get drafted highest because the NFL is looking for cheap labor. If you're willing to play your best years at your college university and allow them to use your body so they can generate revenue, and then when the NFL get a hold of you to say, you know what, you're not as good as we thought you were, and then push you to the side, that's because you don't understand and learn this business. What Nick Bosa did and understood is that reality is if he stayed at Ohio State and basically tried to attempt to come back, that's simply because that's going to help generate money and opportunities for the actual university. But as I said, none of the above, NCAA, Urban Meyer, or Ohio State's going to cut that man a check. But it goes back to that whole point of talking about free education and talking about getting your degree. The man in sports center asked a question about red flags and when he stayed at the school. When you're at the school, you're doing things that the school wants you to do based on what's best for the school. The second biggest lie, besides the devil didn't exist, is that the NCAA is about free education, and that all the stuff that you recruited on is what you're going to get once you actually sign your name to the actual agreement. Nick Bosa is 20 years old, so therefore, if he gets his injury taken care of, how the NFL views him as someone that literally projects to be great in the future. So therefore, it's not a national championship. It's not a Big Ten championship. There's not a rivalry game that's going to say to any scout in the NFL that, you know what, that's great. You know, Nick got his hat and his T-shirt for that game, and we're so happy that we're going to draft him with the number 1, number 2, number 3 pick overall. They could care less. What they care about is, as a scout and an NFL GM, if I draft this young man and he's continued to be injured and he's damaged goods, that if he comes into our camp and he's not healthy, I'm going to get fired. So once again, when I say pay the players, everybody's going to make decisions and want the kids to make decisions that's beneficial to everyone else besides the actual athlete. But as a players rep, let me tell you, this decision that Nick Bosa made is one that should have been made. That was made strictly, and I can say this, by him and his family. This is not because of the Ohio State University. So please do not stop and think for any second that the NCAA or the university actually said, hey, Nick, this is what's best for you. Please go do what you got to do for yourself. This Nick Bosa's father, if you don't know, was a former first-round pick from way back when, they understand the business of sport. And the fact of the matter is, it was up to the school. They'll still be listing Nick Bosa as questionable every week, and then literally telling the media, like, we'll see what happens, because they don't want to give away the game plan to other coaches. But by doing that, you're actually hurting this young man's attempt to basically make money in the future. Because if scouts in the NFL don't know exactly what your injury is or what your status is, then how can they properly evaluate you? So we support pre-post game, support Nick Bosa's decision 100%. We also know that Nick Bosa won't be the last one to start to understand that this is a business and make decisions for him and further in the future. We understand that the realities in the NCAA, if you understand the business model, most athletes that are high projected draft picks in their junior year would not get their degree anyway. It's set up as such that literally most athletes that got to train for NFL Combine are going to leave. Even if he was a senior, he'll be gone his actual last semester of college to try to get into the NFL draft. Because usually for a regular bachelor's degree, BA degree is up to 120 credits. And usually through a schedule of sports, in particular football, you can take no more than 12 classes to basically be able to function properly, to get your classes in and get your athletics in the same scenario. So any questions about this scenario? I would love to have some coaches come on here and tell me and say to you, the audience, that with the decision that Nick Bosa made was the wrong decision for him and his family. I would love for someone to come on and say that literally that he could play 15 years in a career, but you know what? He'll never be able to get the hat and T-shirt back again at Ohio State. He'll never be able to take those memories of pain and with his teammates and blood, sweat, and tears and turn around. So when he's 30 years old and he really doesn't know anything, how to maintain and sustain the money that he made in the National Football League. For many of you guys that don't know, it costs money to make money in this actual country. So even if you made millions of dollars, if you don't know how to actually take that money and use it properly, you're going to lose it, because at the end of the day, it's this thing called taxes. They don't actually teach you about that in the actual college university, specifically athletics anyway. So shout out to Nick Bosa. Again, I'm not saying that I'm the biggest fan of that guy, but at the same time, the decision that he made is 100% in the best interest of his business long term. Understanding that sports is not a game, sports is all business. For more information for your business, if you need consultation yourself, you can contact us at prepostgame.com. You can follow me at the Players Rep 1 on Twitter, the Players Rep 1 on Instagram. And as you see, as the names I mentioned below, really quick before I go, Maurice Hurst, a projected first round pick last year for University of Michigan to the NFL, fell to the 5th round because once he got to the combine, they found that he had a heart condition, pre-existing heart condition. The university declared him to be clear, but once he got to the NFL Combine, their doctor said he wasn't clear. For that reason alone, Maurice Hurst lost millions of dollars in that scenario. Next place, Jake Butt, played in 2016 Orange Bowl against Florida State, projected first-round pick, again, out of the University of Michigan as a tight end. Got injured towards ACL in that game, projected first-round pick, fell to the 5th round pick. Again, Michigan hasn't wrote Jake Butt a check. Michigan hasn't wrote Maurice Hurst a check. Jake Butt playing again for the Denver Broncos after the 5th round pick just towards the other ACL just a few weeks ago. And then again, obviously you got Jalen Smith, who played in the bowl game against Ohio State and was a projected top 5 linebacker out of Notre Dame, Notre Dame not only did not pay for Jalen Smith's loss of that actual game, but they didn't even pay for Jalen Smith's insurance policy. And last but not least, Mr. Marcus Lattimore, the running back out of South Carolina, who had 2 horrific leg injuries playing sports in South Carolina. So much so that when Marcus Lattimore and his free education that he got was no longer able to play in the National Football League, he returned to work for the University of South Carolina, and the NCAA told him that because he was Marcus Lattimore, that he provided too much of a recruiting boost to South Carolina, so therefore he wasn't even able to work for South Carolina. Trust the facts, not the process. My name is Robert T. Green, the CEO of Pre-Post Game. You guys be well. I'm the pleasure up here to educate, empower, protect the athletes and the family's best interests alone.